الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال الله عز وجل في قرآن العظيم والفرقان الحميد ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن رسول الله وخاتم النبيين صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الأمين الكريم ونحن على ذلك لمن الشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين إن نلت يا ريح السبا يوما إلى أرض الحرم بلغ سلامي روضة فيها النبي المحترم اگر اے نسیم سحر تیرا ہو گزر دیار حجاز میں تو میرے چشم تر کا سلام کہنا حضور بندہ نواز میں. Alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and by the generosity, the karam of his beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. بِتَوْفِيقِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى وَبِكَرَمِ رَسُولِهِ الْأَعْلَى. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the opportunity of this gathering. A gathering with the intention to establish the firmness, halawa, the sweetness of the deen of Islam and Iman. May Allah reward those behind this intention and behind the motivation and behind the taharruk, the active implementation of this gathering. And Allah reward them and those who are participants here in this lecture theatre at the University of Bradford. My understanding is that this gathering is dedicated to the commemorating or celebrating or creating the environment to appreciate the Khatmun Nabi sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, the finality of the prophethood of the beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. And the surah from Surah Al-Ahzab is quite distinct because it is as expressly a statement can be with regards to the finality of the beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. And those who are familiar with the academic approach of understanding this subject, it's very clear that for every argument there has to be a premise. Without a premise, every argument is so-called futile because it's just a claim. So the premise has to be substantiated, and the substantiation is a question that many philosophers of religious ethic say that you must, and your premise must have two qualities. One is the deductive quality and one is the inductive qualities. So the deductive quality is primarily the foundation by which you formulate or come to a conclusion with regards to your argument. I'm sure with regards to the enthusiast of academia, you would no doubt have achieved this by the time you have surpassed your A-level exams, because one of the manner in which we have the professional and academic approach to the civilized world, I will invert it in a camera, the civilized world, or the world where we as adults can engage in communication, is usually in this format. And those who are not familiar with this format sometimes diverge away or dilute away into the abyss of their argument, but without the formal recognition. They may have a valid point, they may have a valid emotion, they may have a valid argument, but those arguments and emotions have no value in the academic world up until it is placed and unless it is pursued in the right channel and the right manner. Presumably, you've all been familiar with how things are. If you go and you are in front of a booth or in front of the cashier at the till, you would need to queue. And rightly so, you need to queue up until your time has come to be served. But let's assume that that system is not in place. So people will come from your right and people will come from the left. And considering the fact that you are familiar with the premise and the adab and the etiquette of putting forward an argument and a case, and there are people coming from the left and right who are unfamiliar, or maybe they are familiar, but they are bypassing that, you will be rightly so offended. You will be rightly so offended because it's not the norm, it is not the normal approach of putting forward your argument. And so is the case of the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, that uses all the premise from the verses of the Quran and from the mutawatir, consecutively narrated narrations of the beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And when this is formulated, it's putting forward a premise. And when this premise is ignored, then there are emotions involved. Sometimes not knowing this procedure is the result of social dismay and chaos. And we see some of the social decay, or the social dilemmas, or the social ills developing and spiraling out of control. So we question ourselves, what is the reason? Is the devil there? Is it a bigger promoted shaitan? Or is it merely because we're not following the procedure that has been highlighted to us from the last 1400 years? Why is it so that this procedure has now transmitted and transpired into a country that does not have the foundation of Islam, yet believes in laying its approach in this approachable manner? So we need to question ourselves, the motive, the manner in which we portray our deen and our Islam before others. And we need to be very vigilant, and we need to quickly adapt to the new requirements, the new targets or aims. As quick and swift as the policies change, we need to be as quick and swift in order to respond to the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah understanding of the aqaid, risala, and likewise theological, non-theological, and contemporary issues. If we do not do that, then we are merely treating masjid, madrasas, or our private gatherings as no difference between those who are socializing in clubs and the Muslim community socializing their way. So we need to now have a systematical approach of developing our aims and objectives, and after the gathering, what have we learned, how much have we developed, is a very important question we need to address ourselves. Khatmun Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is actually to recognize the risala, the message of the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and give to us a platform, an argument, and a road upon which we can tread that is not thorny, insha'Allah ta'ala, that will give us the benefit of this dunya as well as the akhirah. So it's not an absolute detachment, we're not absolute esoteric or eccentric, but rather we are both, the Quran and the Sunnah, in the same way. We are both professional in our outward approach, and we need to be as spiritual in our inward approach to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Professional in our outward approach towards the people and the community around us, not to offend people, but not necessarily to offend Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but to understand how to be able to deal with governed or given situations. But the internal element must not be affected, destroyed, or tarnished. Why? Because the spiritual entity is an entity governed and created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It must go back pure as it came pure. It must go back pure as it came pure. Because Allah wahdahu la sharik says, Ya ayyatuha an-nafsul mutma'inna irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyah. And Allah created every nafs. Kullu nafsin za'iqatul maut. Yes, maut is an established fact. Do you now understand? The premise is an important requirement. So the verse from Surah Al-Ahzab serves as one premise. But there are similarly many verses of the Holy Quran serving as a premise of the finality of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Not only that, on the other side, it must equate the balance. The balance between the claimed book and the balance between the claimer of bringing the information, yani from Risala. So the premise of both of these hot and negative wire, or the positive and negative wire, must equate in its message. It must be balanced, and it must be parallel, and it must reflect the mirror image of one another. So the information that is being given, this is why Imam Jalaluddin Rumi, the great Sufi of his time, reflects on the importance of being a mirror. I know you all practice being in front of the mirror every day. Men or women are equal on this fact. And it's part of Sunnah. If we look at it, there is no shame in that. But apart from that, if only you could see it, not only zahiri, but you can see it as a batin as well. That each time you look into a mirror, you welcome yourself and you talk to yourself, and you talk to yourself in the language of Imam Jalaluddin Rumi. Are you truly how you are outside? Are you truly inside what you are outside? Or are you truly inside what you are outside? Meaning you must question that all the time. This process is necessary even in theology. And this is why certain rules are brought in theology, so that the transparency remains. The transparency of Aqidah is established so that a person does not become dismayed. 5 pounds of potato here, 2 pounds of fish here, the fishmonger says. And the butchers say, their bit. So it becomes like a terrible market. It's a noisy market. The dunya has become like this. You're in a dunya of capitalism, socialism, communism, claimers of democracy. But Islam has its own specific measurement, yardstick of what is permissible and not permissible. It is not life-threatening to any one of these principles. It is principled, measured, and it gives you the exact balance. What you need to do is first and foremost work on the premises of, are you satisfied with this or not? The premise is the Quran. La rayba fi. Each and every individual who has said and uttered La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah is considered to be an express statement of his entering the contract with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's belief, and every part of the rule and regulation he has revealed upon the ummah to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That is what is meant. And this is why the Quran says, أَوْفُوا بِعُهُودِكُمْ, and deliver your promise that you have pledged with Allah wahdahu la sharik. But how do you deliver that? The refined element, the refined detail, or the defined detail, the specific details of how to be able to deliver Allah's ahkam are given in the embodiment and the seerah and sunnah of Habibuna Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. When these two premises have a sutun, they have a foundation, they have a pillar, you may now work toward from deductive to inductivity. Deductive language has been established. Deductivity is where you are able to deduce from the Quran and the Sunnah to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This in the modern concept is known as fiqh. If you look at the proportionality of the Muslim world and the proportionality of the literacy of fiqh, it is just like saying in UK, the literacy is around about 80 so and so %. You will have a very healthy society. But if you twist, or if you turn, sorry for the wrong word, if you turn this ratio upside down to another country where the literacy is perhaps 20%, then consider the same blueprint for Islam as well. No wonder we are having problems in Mamlakatul Saudiyatul Arabiya. No wonder we are having problems in Syria, in Sham. No wonder we are having problems in Iraq. No wonder we are having problems. Why? Because the ratio of fiqh, the ratio of delivering the intelligence of how you should be as a citizen is limited in those countries. And then we want a Taliban style with a stick, with a gun, with a whip. How is that matching any proportionality? This is why literalism will not take us anywhere. It is coming back to this argument of taking the ummah forward, winning the hearts and minds of these literate youngsters. We in UK, the British Muslim UKs, are in a greater advantage than any other Muslims around the world. That is my own limited understanding of my 30 years of experience. That the British Muslim here in UK are in a greatest advantage than anywhere else in the world. Why? Because before them is the materialism, before them is the dunya, there is absolute clarity of things. The options are very clear and they can really work towards their target through professionalism. A teacher, for instance, often it is said at the Home Office that few people at the mosque are not doing very well, I'm afraid. True. Why is there a denial? That we're not doing very well at the madrasas. It's not just a matter of making them learn all the 6 kalimas. It is not just an issue of allowing our children to memorize just a little portion of it. That's not Islam. The true entity is to prepare you, the younger generation, to face yourself as a real Muslim. If you go to the rabbis, you will ask them, what do you do? Say, well, we, in order to control our youngsters, have a bar mitzvah. A bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah for the girls is when it is called the coming of age. A ceremonization where they realize themselves that their first and foremost duty is to be a Jewish and a practicing Jewish. And this is how they need to be able to practice and deliver that. That delivery is a failure within the Muslim communities for the current moment. I'm not saying failure and will remain a failure. I am saying it will remain a failure up until we wake up. We are able to take charge or contribute. I don't mean take charge as in replace all the imams from the masajid. What I mean is take charge with this responsibility, because this responsibility is not limited company. It is not a blueprint. It's not registered to an imam. It is registered for the ummah, to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is a matter of inviting you to come and participate and contribute and help us to achieve the aims and objectives. The Khatmun Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the finality of the beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. As far as I have lived, I've seen many conferences, and a good 40,000, 50,000, and sometimes good 10,000 pounds are invested in the beautiful, delicious langar that is available. But the conference and what we come out of the conference, and what is the achievement we come out of the conference, and what is the formal education we get, and what is the consensus of the ulamas, none of us are educated, none of us are inundated, none of us are aware. We don't know. That money has gone. 30 years times it of an average of 25,000 pounds of how many conferences we have. Wallahi lazim, by now all of that money could have helped students to become professional, Muslim students to become doctors, Muslim students to become, or studentesses to become active in their own field. So we're not really thinking the manner in which we should be thinking. Khatmun Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is in order to celebrate who we are. It is to celebrate what we are. It is to celebrate how to move forward and to feel proud of what we are. To feel proud that we are being recognized. Not for the imams to chant a beautiful speech and then go. It is not about recognizing them. It is about them making you recognize your value. It is called empowerment. So far it is called devolvement. Scholars from, with all due respect, come, they give beautiful speeches, and they spend a lot of time in you, and alhamdulillah. But practically speaking, in VAT terms, I would not approve, because it's not taking my community forward. I'm not talking about just Bradford. I'm not talking about just Manchester. I'm talking about the Ummah. The 4.8% percentage of the Ummah to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in UK. So therefore we need to be able to argue in the respective manner and take things forward in the respective manner. And make sure that our celebration of who and what we are, and the wonderful and the most beautiful and the most wonderful and the best prophet we have, our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, and the message that he has given to us is fully appreciated first by ourselves, and then it will become appreciated by others, because we will be a mirror image. It will give us the encouragement to be able to develop, to be able to move forward, not backward. So therefore, there's a mixture of things that I have probably said or inferred or alluded to, but in the express statement we come back to this verse of the Holy Quran, مَا كَانَ مُحَمَّدٌ أَبَا أَحَدٍ مِّن رِجَالِكُمْ. Do not generalize the beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam just to be one of the أَبَا أَحَدٍ مِّن رِجَالِكُمْ, to be a father among one of your men. Don't claim him to be from you, from your family, no. You must consider his role, his maqam, his position unachievable. Yet he is the best example. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. And so then we realize, why is this there? This is there in order to serve as a premise to those people who say that the Prophet, peace be upon him, there is no difference between us and him. He is just like us. He's like our brother. So the statement like this is protected by the beautiful Quran, the guiding Quran, in this verse, for instance. So I'm just giving you an example of where our premise lies, and that the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah need to feel encouraged and feel positive and feel firm with the full conviction and understanding that there have not been, this is not a theology, this is not a sect that has been thought of or has come from the clouds. But actually it is a theology, it is a belief based on the premises of the Quran and the Sunnah to Nabi sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. This is what we need to be able to do with the younger generation, especially those who are academics in the universities, for them to be able to feel assured because they've had a dilemma of a vacuum. I call that a vacuum. Okay? A vacuum is when there is a space of non-activity. For instance, the moment you finish your Yazdani al-Quran and went on to your Ambara, and after Ambara then you went on the Quran and خلصت من القرآن. And when you لما خلصت من القرآن فيعني خلصت من القرآن كله. Then you detach yourself up until you went to university. And then when you went to university, you suddenly realized, because there are many societies, and each and every society comes back to that fishmonger story. Because every society is offering you things. Now what do you do? How do you do? If you're a naive and gullible individual, you'll buy the tomato that costs £5 rather than £1. You're done for. Therefore, the informative language, the expressive language, the academic language is what you are attracted to. This becomes your aim and objective for the next 3 to 5 years. And because it becomes your aim and objective for the next 3 to 5 years, it's important that the message is consistent to your aim and objective, and the message of Islam and Iman is also matching that same requirement. So it comes back to, why are we failing? Well, up until we have a balance in our life, a balance of the commitment of what we need to be a healthy community, as a Muslim community, we will always have this up and down, tiff-taff, tit-for-tat, and we will not get anywhere. It is necessary that we think forward. Rather than give just a speech, we should give you alternatives. Rather than just give you a citation, we should actually give you advice. Nasiha, nasaih, كيف تعبر الشارع. How do you move forward? How do you تعبر or تطور في دينك? How do you develop in your knowledge of the deen? So this option must be given to you, not as a choice, but given to you as a clear cut, both rationally and irrationally, as a choice that is sound. So every choice that you make because to you it sounds, there's a sense of soundness in it. Remember, we live in a society today where if you go to the market, wow, this is lovely product. It says you will grow hair again if you use this as a shampoo. But it sounds, the words are sound. Remember, don't fall for the words. At the same time, you must put it through measurement. If you don't know the measurement, then you will be as gullible as that individual who bought the tomato for £5. So, detach yourself from this essence of gullibility and come back to the reality of knowing your deen. And knowing your deen is first and foremost finding a correct shaykh, finding the right shaykh, and proportionately again, statistically, and likewise percentage-wise, you will realize that throughout UK, the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah ulamas are the identified scholars who are most likely to have spent 8 years in Darul Uloom, as opposed to an individual you'll find, massive big beard up to there, pajamas up to his knees, and he promotes and propagates that he is following the Sunnah to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, yet he was on the wrong path, and suddenly he, like Buddha, received an illumination, and he wants to now think that he is fit to lead other peoples towards Quran and Sunnah. No. Again, it comes back to our gullible minds. The gullibility is what has made us become attracted to that which is not attractive. Attracted to something that is not attractive. You go and you buy a shampoo, it's going to make your hair feel good and grow again, you buy it. Subhanallah. Read this dua, it will grow again. SubhanAllah. So you need to be able to have the correct approach to things. The measurement must be validated. You must be able to make search. When you want to buy something, you will consider the fact that, well, how much is my pocket, by the way? If not, you are totally reckless. Mommy and daddy should not give you any spending money. But if you do have this notion of, well, I've got £10, therefore my maximum is £10. And so whatever I take, I should, and in the same approach we should have, well, shall I engage in my conversation with this brother? I've only got £10 or 10 megabytes of memory in my head. Do you now understand? I only have this much megabytes of the Quranic understanding, the Hadith understanding. Should I engage in this person? It's absolutely reckless. The ulamas have said, do not waste your time. Retract back. Your silence is better. Your silence is more powerful. Do you now see the sensibility? So those sensibilities have to be put before you in the correct manner so that you have a greater option rather than you feel that you have no option. Sometimes the deen is put before you as if you have no option. You can't breathe, you can't take left or right turn. But no, Islam is actually a deen that empowers you, not indoctrinates you. It is you who needs to understand this first before others understand it. And this is why, my dear elders and brothers, it is to rejoice and to welcome Khatmun Nabi sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the final prophet. So therefore a person who has a very less megabyte pixels of understanding is the only chappie who will consider himself to be another prophet after the Prophet, peace be upon him. After consecutively premises upon premises of Quran and Sunnah, validating the finality of the beloved Prophet Muhammad, and this person wants to revoke it. Therefore, it is ignorance that makes people revoke that which is from the premise. If you allow your ignorance to prevail, God forbid, there may come a time you will deny something from the Quran. You might deny something from the Hadith of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. You might detach yourself away from that which is beneficial for you. But because it wasn't explained correctly, you want to just wash your hands away? Totally. Therefore, the approach has to be measured. People have to be able to understand. They need to be able to understand the society you're coming from, the environment you're coming from, the infrastructure and the fabric of the intricate elements that govern your life has to be understood. And that is what a shaykh is required to do. He needs to cast his nazar, he needs to cast his heart, he needs to cast his glance of knowledge into your realm of the heart. When he understands that and realizes that you have got such and such element as a defect or such and such element that is recessive, then he will suggest for you to improve in those aspects, in those elements that are weak in you. And when he works on that, then you become strong. So therefore, my advice would be that to try and find a scholar that is from, number one, Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Number two, that he has a very good surrounding knowledge, because he needs to be able to be your shaykh here for this country, this society, this community. He needs to safeguard you. The barakah and the blessing of the shuyukh abroad will always be, alhamdulillah. And so al-ardu wasi'. The earth is spacious, and wherever you are, you may live in this manner. But it's a da'wah that first and foremost secure your knowledge. They say you are as good as the weakest amongst you. You are as good as the weakest amongst you. So if you find a so-called would-be scholar who is a scholar, but you are as good as he is. And therefore you need to find the best. You need to find a scholar who has all the satisfactory answers for your context, needs, and nourishment of the well-being of you and your family. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to understand the true concept of the da'wah, the true concept of the khitam, the finality of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What Rasul Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought to us is final. Al-yawmu akmaltu lakum deenukum. Today have I perfected, so our deen is perfect. There is no need for an addition or taking away anything. Anyone who suggests this is way off course from this ayah. The premise, at least I have a premise, you have a premise. Where is their premise? That they need to change this ayah. Yes, it's a little bit so and so, let's tone it down a little bit. There is no intonification. It's not up to us to tone it up and down. It is not in our realm, jurisdiction to be able to tone down. This is manipulation, and manipulation is haram. And this is equivalent to tahrif, and tahrif thus is haram. Ta'wil is to be able to turn the meaning according to the syntaxology or syntax and morphology of the Quran and Sunnah. Morphology, sarf, syntax, nahu. And these sciences allow you to be able to know that the meaning of this Quran, even if there is nothing there from the Sahabas, the Tabi'ins or the Tabi'ut Tabi'ins, at least by the tawfiq of the knowledge which is sacred, yani sarf and nahu, you will remain intact. It will not allow you to diverge, or depart from the essence and the teachings of the Quran and Sunnah. Not knowing these principles allows us to come up with, I don't know, jargons and jargons of unprecedented cases that are unnecessary. Unnecessary for us to open our mouth so much that we complicate things rather than simplicate. We end up going to medias, represent ourselves, yet lacking severely in the qualities required to be able to deliver the true measurement for that subject area. We need yourself. You are in academic environment. We need you to come back to the deen of Islam. Come back to Allah wahdahu la sharik. And come back to your beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. With all the opportunity of the knowledge that you have been given by Allah's tawfiq, you need to come back and serve the deen of Islam. Serve the Ummah to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Serve your community of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. If I can get that into your heart and you say labbaik to that, I will thank you for all the life I have in my brain. Allahumma ameen. Jazakumullah kulla khair. Barakallahu feekum fi juhudikum wa sa'iyatikum. Wa nas'al Allah ta'ala al-afwa wal-afiyah wa istiqama fi ad-din wa ad-dunya. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fi al-Qur'an al-Azim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ya Imam